We are here at the base of Mount Sinai in Saudi Arabia, and you can see all these marble pillars around me. Could these possibly be built by Moses?
We're standing on this mountain that is probably Mount Sinai, also called Horeb, Mount Horeb.
And they called the Mountain of God.
Mountain of God. Those are the three biblical names, but we also know it as
Jabal
Makla.
The modern.
Deep in the deserts of Saudi Arabia, something has been uncovered that could change everything we thought we knew about history and faith. For centuries, questions have been buried beneath the sands, guarded by silence and secrecy. But now, the truth is beginning to surface, and what lies beneath may shock the world.
You know, in the book of Exodus, it says Moses was commanded by God to set up 12 pillars at the base of Mount Sinai. Come see these for yourself.
The book of Exodus is one of the most powerful stories in human history. It tells how the Hebrews, enslaved under Pharaoh's rule in Egypt, were freed through the hand of God. Moses, chosen as their leader, confronted Pharaoh, witnessed miracles, and guided his people out of bondage. After the miraculous crossing of the Red Sea, where the waters parted and then swallowed Pharaoh's pursuing army, the Hebrews journeyed into the wilderness. Their destination was Mount Sinai, the sacred mountain where God would meet Moses face to face, giving him the 10 Commandments, laws that would not only define Israel's destiny, but also shape moral codes for civilizations across the world. For centuries, the mountain most widely accepted as Mount Sinai has been Jabal Musa, located in Egypt's Sinai Peninsula. Pilgrims from all over the world have traveled there to climb its rugged slopes, imagining themselves walking the same path Moses once did. Tour guides promote it, maps mark it, and monasteries stand nearby as symbols of its sacred tradition. Yet, for all its fame, Jabal Musa's claim rests more on long-standing tradition than on clear biblical evidence. The scriptures themselves provide clues that seem to point elsewhere. The problem begins with Moses' life before the Exodus. According to the Bible, after fleeing Egypt for killing an Egyptian overseer, Moses settled in the land of Midian. It was there that he married Zipporah, the daughter of Jethro, and became a shepherd. While tending his flock, Moses encountered the burning bush on a mountain called Horeb, another name for Mount Sinai. Exodus chapter 3 verse 1 states, "Now Moses was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the far side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God." This detail raises a serious issue with the traditional location. Midian is not in Egypt's Sinai Peninsula. Ancient historians, biblical scholars, and modern researchers have consistently identified Midian as being located in the northwestern region of present-day Saudi Arabia. If Moses encountered God in Midian, and if Horeb was there, then it seems unlikely that Mount Sinai was in Egypt at all. Instead, the evidence suggests that the true mountain must be in Arabia. Why then has Jabal Musa in Egypt been promoted as Mount Sinai for so long? Some suggest it was a matter of political convenience and tradition. Early Christian pilgrims and Byzantine leaders sought a site accessible within Egyptian territory, and over time, devotion to Jabal Musa solidified into accepted history. Maps, churches, and centuries of belief reinforced the idea, making it the official Mount Sinai, even though the biblical text points in another direction. This raises a profound question. Has the real Mount Sinai been deliberately hidden, covered up by politics, tradition, and misdirection? Or has it simply been overlooked, waiting in the Arabian desert for discovery? If not Jabal Musa in Egypt, then what mountain bears the marks of biblical truth and holds the evidence of God's presence?
We're not saying that it was blackened by the presence of God, but it is curious that the top of this mountain, and these mountains right here are, basalt, or, it looks like it's volcanic, but...
Even though the Arabic name for the mountain, Jabal Makla, means burning or burnt.
Yeah.
In the remote desert of northwest Saudi Arabia stands a mountain that has stirred both awe and controversy among scholars, explorers, and believers. Known as Jabal al-Lawz, or the Mountain of Almonds, this towering peak rises above the arid landscape, isolated yet commanding, and has increasingly been identified by researchers as a far more convincing candidate for the biblical Mount Sinai. Unlike the familiar Jabal Musa in Egypt, which has long been embraced by tradition, Jabal al-Lawz carries physical evidence that appears to align directly with the descriptions preserved in Scripture. One of the most striking features of Jabal al-Lawz is its summit. Even from satellite images, the top of the mountain appears unusually blackened, a sharp contrast to the lighter-colored rocks that make up the slopes and valleys below. Visitors who have examined the stones firsthand note that the darkened exterior does not extend inward, meaning the rocks were scorched on the surface but remain lighter inside. This unusual condition cannot be explained by volcanic activity since the mountain shows no signs of being volcanic. For many, the site brings to mind the vivid account in Exodus 19:18, which describes Mount Sinai covered in smoke as the Lord descended upon it in fire, and the mountain trembled violently. The blackened summit of Jabal al-Lawz seems to mirror that very passage. Beyond the dramatic peak lies a vast, open plain stretching at the mountain's base. This natural formation is not only unique, but also practical when compared with the biblical narrative. According to Scripture, the Israelites camped in front of Mount Sinai as Moses ascended to meet God. Such an event would have required a large and accessible space capable of holding an immense number of people along with their herds and belongings. The broad, flat terrain in front of Jabal al-Lawz provides exactly that setting, creating a stage where the unfolding of Exodus could have taken place. Adding to the intrigue are a series of scattered stone markers that appear to form boundaries around portions of the plain. These markers, though weathered by time, align uncannily with the instructions given in Exodus chapter 19, verse 12, where God commands Moses to set limits around the mountain so the people would not cross onto the holy ground. The presence of these stones suggests that the area was once intentionally divided, echoing the biblical requirement that no one was to approach or touch the mountain lest they be put to death. The combination of the scorched summit, the accommodating plain, and the mysterious boundary stones creates a compelling portrait of a mountain that matches not just in spirit, but in physical evidence with the descriptions of Mount Sinai. Unlike Jabal Musa, which relies largely on centuries of tradition, Jabal al-Lawz presents tangible signs that invite deeper exploration. Each feature of the mountain seems to confirm the sacred events described in the book of Exodus, raising the possibility that this may be the true site where God's presence descended in fire and thunder. Yet the question remains, what other traces surround this mountain?
All right, Andrew, we're at the base of Mount Sinai.
Yes.
And there are some interesting things here at the base that, again, tie into the story of Exodus. You have the golden
calf
altar not far from here, just over this hill.
At the base of Jabal al-Lawz lies a series of remarkable discoveries that seem to confirm events described in the book of Exodus. These findings do not merely suggest that a large group once encamped in the area, but also point directly to the dramatic episodes of faith and disobedience that shaped the story of the Israelites in the wilderness. Among these is a massive stone structure believed by many to be the altar where the golden calf was worshipped.
We're at the altar where we think the golden calf was put on top of this area, and all around it, this is like a natural rock formation. You have carvings of cows that match the cows of ancient Egypt.
The Bible recounts in Exodus chapter 32 that while Moses remained on the mountain receiving the 10 Commandments, the Israelites grew restless and pressured Aaron into creating an idol. They melted down their gold and fashioned a calf, bowing to it in defiance of the God who had just delivered them from Egypt. The remains of the stone structure at Jabal al-Lawz match this account with astonishing detail. The altar is not just a random pile of stones, but a carefully built platform, and on its surface and surrounding rocks are carvings that reveal much about its origins. These carvings depict bulls and calves, imagery that aligns closely with the worship of the golden calf. What makes them even more striking is their artistic style. The figures do not resemble typical Arabian petroglyphs, but instead reflect Egyptian design. This suggests that the people who made them were not locals, but had ties to Egyptian culture. Considering the Israelites had only recently departed Egypt, it becomes highly plausible that they were the ones responsible for creating both the altar and the engravings. This is a vivid piece of evidence pointing to Israelite presence and their moment of rebellion against God at the foot of Mount Sinai. Not far from the altar stands another extraordinary landmark that seems to testify to the events described in Scripture. Rising several stories high, a massive rock formation is split clean down the middle. The cleft is so pronounced that it appears as though some powerful force struck it apart. At the base of the rock, patterns of erosion are visible, resembling channels carved by flowing water. Yet the rock stands in one of the driest regions of the Arabian desert, where rainfall is rare and streams are nearly non-existent. This discovery recalls the story in Exodus chapter 17, where the Israelites complained of thirst during their journey. God commanded Moses to strike the rock at Horeb, and water miraculously flowed forth to quench the people. The split rock near Jabal al-Lawz fits this description perfectly, serving as a monumental witness to a divine intervention that sustained an entire nation in the wilderness. For generations, skeptics have questioned how such a vast multitude could have survived in such harsh conditions. The presence of this rock with clear signs of water flow offers a tangible answer. Together, the altar with its foreign-style petroglyphs and the enormous split rock provide compelling evidence of both the worship and rebellion of the Israelites and the mercy of God who provided for them. These sites stand as silent witnesses to moments of disobedience, judgment, and miraculous provision, bringing the ancient story of Exodus to life in stone. If Mount Sinai truly stands in Arabia with such convincing evidence, then the route of the Exodus must be reconsidered. Where exactly did the Israelites cross the Red Sea, and what clues remain beneath its waters? One of the most dramatic moments in the story of Exodus is the crossing of the sea. The event has captured imaginations for centuries, yet the question of where it took place continues to spark debate. The traditional view places the crossing in the northern part of Egypt, at shallow lakes and marshes near the Nile Delta. This interpretation was popular because it seemed geographically convenient and required little explanation for how the Israelites managed to pass through. According to this perspective, they walked across mudflats or shallow waters that temporarily receded, creating a path. However, the descriptions in the Bible speak of towering walls of water and a mighty deliverance that destroyed Pharaoh's army, a scenario that seems difficult to reconcile with a mere swamp. An alternative explanation has emerged from modern research and exploration. This theory points toward the Gulf of Aqaba, a northern arm of the Red Sea that separates the Sinai Peninsula from Arabia. At a place called Nuweiba Beach on the Egyptian side, a wide and open shoreline could have accommodated the encampment of a vast number of people. Beneath the waters stretching from this location lies a remarkable natural formation. Divers and underwater surveys have revealed a gentle slope descending into the sea and rising again toward the Arabian shore. This submerged land bridge offers a conceivable path across the Gulf, connecting directly to the region of Jabal al-Lawz, which some believe to be the true Mount Sinai. Exodus chapter 14 describes the scene vividly. The children of Israel walked into the midst of the sea on dry ground, with waters standing as walls on either side. The geography of the Gulf of Aqaba, combined with the underwater land bridge, provides a setting that could realistically match this description. Unlike the shallow marshes of northern Egypt, the Gulf is a deep and imposing body of water. A miraculous parting here would have created the awe-inspiring spectacle recorded in Scripture and left no possibility for Pharaoh's army to survive once the waters returned. Adding to the intrigue are reports from divers who claim to have found coral formations shaped like wheels and axles, resting on the seabed. These are said to resemble the remains of chariots, possibly from the Egyptian army that pursued the fleeing Israelites. While coral incrustation makes it difficult to confirm their origin, The idea that such artifacts might be lying beneath the waves has fueled ongoing debate. Some researchers present these findings as compelling evidence of the biblical account, while others dismiss them as coincidental shapes formed naturally by coral growth. This divergence of views highlights the tension between faith, archaeology, and historical interpretation. Scholars argue over whether the Gulf of Aqaba crossing can be conclusively proven, or whether it remains a matter of belief supported by suggestive but not definitive evidence. Yet the possibility that millions of people once passed through such a formidable barrier has transformed the way many view the Exodus story. If such powerful evidence exists in the landscape and beneath the sea, why is it so rarely discussed openly? What reasons might there be for governments and institutions to keep these discoveries hidden from the world? The Saudi government has never provided a clear explanation for the strict security. Some argue that the restrictions are intended to preserve the site from damage, since unregulated visits could harm archaeological remains. Others believe the motives are far more significant. If Jabal al-Lawz were confirmed as Mount Sinai, it would validate one of the most important narratives of the Bible as a historical reality. This would not only alter perceptions of the Exodus, but also reshape debates that have raged for centuries over whether these events truly happened or were simply stories of faith. For generations, skeptics have dismissed the Exodus as myth. They have claimed that the account was symbolic, a creation of cultural memory rather than an actual journey. Yet the discoveries around Jabal al-Lawz challenge this skepticism in ways that cannot be easily ignored. The blackened summit appears to bear the marks of divine fire. The stone structure resembling the altar of the golden calf matches the story of Israel's rebellion. The carvings of calves in Egyptian style suggest foreign influence consistent with the Israelites' origins. The massive split rock, with clear signs of water erosion in one of the driest regions on Earth, mirrors the miracle of Moses striking the rock so that water could sustain the people. Each of these findings provides tangible support for accounts long regarded as legendary. The implications are profound. If the mountain is indeed the biblical Sinai, then the Exodus was not merely an inspiring tale, but a real event grounded in history and geography. This realization would affirm the faith of millions who already believe the scriptures, while also inviting skeptics to reconsider their doubts. The site itself becomes more than an archaeological curiosity. It transforms into a living testimony of covenant, rebellion, mercy, and divine presence. Spiritually, Jabal al-Lawz symbolizes the intersection of human frailty and divine power. It was here, if the evidence is correct, that a people received laws meant to guide their destiny, yet also fell into disobedience within sight of the holy mountain. It was here that God's provision of water sustained them despite their complaints. Every stone and carving speaks to both the struggles of humanity and the enduring mercy of God. Today, the mountain still waits behind its fences, silent yet powerful. It carries the weight of history and faith, bearing marks that could confirm one of the most extraordinary moments in human memory. Perhaps the time will come when the world is allowed to see it openly. Until then, it stands as a reminder that the voice of God once thundered in the desert, and that voice still calls for us to listen. What do you think about these discoveries? Could Jabal al-Lawz really be the true Mount Sinai? Share your thoughts and questions in the comments.